Hey y'all. So I did a video a few days ago about soul senses, and someone in the comment section had a very good question, and I tried to answer it to the best of my ability to explain it. Maybe I didn't explain it correctly to them. Maybe there was something lost in translation. Maybe it was something more than that because you can't really gauge tone from text, but it felt kind of odd. So if y'all want to weigh in the comment section, please do. But I'm going to go over the question that they actually asked and give some answers and sources. So they asked, how is peace a soul sense? And I listed it amongst other things that are soul senses like intuition. And I gave then an explanation because questions are great. No one wants to just be heard for their own cradola. You want people to learn from multiple sources and you want them to figure it out for themselves. And you welcome good people who are asking legit questions. So I answered. But the response was then, it didn't parse. So again, I went into more detail, as you'll see in the screenshots that are around, that what this meant about explaining it to them as best as I could. And again, I kept getting this wall back from them in tone, intention, and intention's going to come up later on in this video. Must have been lost in translation somewhere. And I'm just going to note, out of the 3.7K people who viewed this video, this is the only person who came back and did not seem to be able to parse what it was that I was explaining. And again, this is not my UPG. This is not something I invented. You can find this in a plethora of different spiritualities and a load of academia out there, which I'm going to give in just a moment. And it's important to note that the individual who made the comments, I'm not hating on. There's no argument going on here as far as I'm aware. I mean, I could be reading it wrong. Calls themselves a witch, that magical practitioner. And if you are that magical practitioner and you can accept intuition as being a soul sense used amongst different things, you're not using your sense of smell to send, to cast, or to manifest, or to heal. You may use it in addition in a healing situation to help give you some insight into what's going on with a human body or condition, but you're not using your smell when you're doing a thing. Rather, you're using that intuition, and they seem quite capable of understanding intuition as a soul sense, but not peace. So I hope this video serves to educate and clarify, and please people, there is no hate. So when we talk about the soul sense of peace, it's more than that surface level experience that we have, or perception, as they put it, of peace. That surface level perception of world peace, personal peace, peace in our family, peace at our job, peace with nature that we have around us, our home, that comes from our ego, I and id, and our super ego, all of which skim the great depths of our soul and its abilities to perceive peace internally and on a cosmic or spiritual level. Because these physical senses can be skewed by instances where we have difficulties with those around us, difficulties at work, ill health, events in the world, personal gnosis, because that's who we are. We're human. But our soul knows differently. How many times, even in Christianity, in multiple different faiths and paths, have you heard someone say when they're passing, my soul is at peace? They're not talking about a physical peace of being at peace with the environment. They're talking about a very in-depth internal peace. Why do you hear the terms rest in peace? The person is no longer part of the living and the physical. They have transcended that and gone on. So it's not a physical perception. It is a soul and spiritual perception. Our physical mind and body may always be at peace, but that does not always equate to our soul being at peace. And this has been demonstrated anciently and modernly in shamanism and also counterparts of indigenous cultures by soul retrieval and its counterparts, that understanding that soul healing runs far deeper than the physical perceptions that we have as human beings. One of those reasons is because maybe someone doesn't know about them. Maybe someone doesn't wish to acknowledge them. Maybe that inner soul peace that's not at peace isn't manifested in a way that they recognize. Others may recognize it, but they may not. Maybe they don't want to. It depends on you and your spiritual path and how in depth you want to go into it. And I did state in the comment that you do you. It's, your path, your way. It's not someone else's. So it's not just me telling you this as a UPG. Again, I'm going to put some sources out there so you can do some research and understand. But to be combative in the way you were was not wholly genuine and helpful. So I've got my notepad to read out some sources, and there's a lot of them, and I'll go through as quickly as I possibly can. And again, if you people in the comments want to add anything to this to help this individual understand with love and not hate or malice, please do so. But I won't tolerate any hate on my videos or page, because rule number 1. So Soul and Sense, 1986 by Kimball. From Soul to the Psyche by Noel. Senses of the Soul and Kundalini, Senses of the Soul, if that's your jig, by Khalsa. There's a Christian element too called Activating Your Spiritual Senses by Nelson. Soul, Mind, and Body by Gang Shah. Our 12 Senses by Sosman and Cornelis. There's also the philosophical element that comes from one person that's amazing to think of, Ralph Waldo Emerson, called The Senses of the Soul. And then Tord expands on the Emerson theory and his belief system and the way he explains those senses in a very different way, called Living from the Soul. Then there's Take Your Soul to Work by Brown, which is a very practical guide to taking those inner soul senses with you into business in the world outside when you work in order to help you achieve more and remain balanced. How to Heal Your Soul by Glenn. Science, Sense, and Soul by Blood. Neuroscience and mysticism are mixed in there. This is a neuroscience view, so it's scientific. It's not even just specifically spiritual. Gaia also covers this, if that's your jig, on their website. Ordering the Soul and Senses, a psychology document from the 13th century from Escudero. Senses of the Soul, Emotional Therapy, Strength, and Guidance, another one by Khalsa. Then we've got to go back anciently even. Plato, Aristotle, Descartes. It comes out of animism, Christianity, shamanism, Krishna, Hinduism, Taoism, Orthodox Buddhism, Egyptian, and West African practices. And here's the thing. There's also the Christian Source Journal that talks about it too. So whatever your spiritual path is, whatever it is you choose to believe or walk, all the information is out there, and Google's free. And I'm happy to send sources, but I will not spoon feed anyone past this. I have done the best I possibly can with the best of kindness that I possibly can. Hopefully, this will assist you. And again, I'm not hating on you, but there is a frustration level that you're listening to respond, not listening to hear. And again, that's important. I wish you continued blessings.